Hello there, everyone. How are we all? I'm just getting the vinyl graphics up for you. Let's upload that. Okay. There we are. Very good. How is everybody? Hello, how are we all? Let's have a see. Let's hope you're all here with me. Loud and clear. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. It's always good to know because there's been times I've sat here and I've chatted away to myself and there's been nobody there. So lovely to have you all here. Let's see who we have. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Lovely to have you here again this week. I hope things have settled down a little bit for you. Hi, Laurie and Evelyn. Oh, hello, Helen. How's you? And we've got Lorraine and Angela and Grandma Bonnie. Oh, okay, Grandma Bonnie, that's absolutely no problem. Hi, Jean. Hi, Jill. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Right, I'm going to get going into this because I'm not quite sure how long this one is going to take. But what I thought I'd do with you today is to create with Lisa's pick this week. So if you've either had your email into your inboxes or you've been onto Lisa's website, you'd have seen that and you would have known from previous times that Lisa has a pick, and it appears not every Monday, some Mondays, especially when there's something new to launch or there's something exciting or special discounts to have. But this week, Lisa's decided to launch 2 new products with us, and it's these 2 sets of dies that we have here, and it's down to £32.99. So that's a big saving of nearly £8 on these 2 sets of dies, and these 2 sets of dies are going to be I think probably staples in your craft stash because they're quite different to other things that Lisa has done, but they'll be standalone dies as I've used them today, but they are so useful and obviously of Lisa's style, so they'll be able to mix and match with absolutely everything that Lisa has in her collection, as well as all the freestanding dies as well. So I've made this little card for you today. It's like I'm not quite sure what you call it, a strap card, but it's quite dimensional, and I've managed to use both sets on there today and the brand new alphabet dies as well. So I shall talk you through everything that I've used today, and I shall go through the dies with you in a second. But you see on the graphic there, it's 2 sets of dies. Now I will just show you here actually, those 2 images that you see on the side, the dies look the same size. You see the alphabet there as well. But these are the packets here. Now you can see them side by side compared to what we've got on the side here that we have. This is the standard size pack of dies, and this is an A6 set of dies. It's an A6 packaging, but don't be fooled by what's in there. So the packaging is 2 different sizes, even though it looks the same on the graphic there. You still get an awful lot of dies for your money in both sets. So let me just show you this now. Now these dies in particular, these Wildflower dies come on a card, a sellotaped card, so you need to remove them off of there, and I've done that already. And because it's a nice little envelope, these just sort of sit free in the envelope there. So I'll just show you what we have in this set. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dies. So that all comes out of this smaller A6 size packaging, but there is an awful lot of die for your money there. Really useful, and you can see the dies on the front of the packaging there. So that's what you get in your Wildflowers and in your Scribbled flowers, these, I don't know how many dies you get here. I'll count them out for you. Now, these come tabbed, and it's up to you whether you leave them tabbed or leave them connected or not, or whether you separate them. I've separated them and put them onto my own magnetic sheet. So I've left a couple of them tabbed. So if you just to let you know what I mean by that. When it means tabbed, it means that all the dies are joined together by a tiny little tab here. I've left a couple of these together because these are paired, and I would probably die cut them as a pair anyway, so I know that they are. But it was easier the way that the configuration was, that these, I've actually separated these, but these are 2 pairs. And the way that these dies work, you would normally cut them in pairs and then you have them as layering dies, as you can see here. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use both layers at the same time, but if you wanted to create the layered effect like that, you would cut the pair of dies. So they come tabbed, which is why I've then put them onto a magnetic sheet, and these ones come on a sellotaped card. Really easy to remove though. So I can put those back in there. So that's those 2 sets of dies gone through for you. So these are brand new releases, and these I don't think Lisa could wait to release them, to be honest. I know she really loves these ones, so it was nice for them to get them out onto the website, and they just work so well with all the brand new products that have been launched onto Hobby Maker as well, particularly the tall and skinny alphabet there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove that and give you the list of items that I'm using. So I've already gone through the 2 brand new products for you, which are there, Lisa's pick. Now, these work perfectly with the tall and skinny alphabet. Now, I opened these today, and it's not until you actually get them in your hand you actually realise just how useful these are going to be. And I'll show you these. Again, these come tabbed, which means they come together as a solid plate. So I've put mine onto a magnetic sheet. So this is what it means when they come tabbed. So I will eventually snip away all of the individual letters. Just for today, I've just snipped out the ones that I was using for today. And because it's on a magnetic sheet, I was going to find it really easy to keep them all together. And then we have a second sheet as well. So you'll come as 2 sheets tabbed, and you can either leave them tabbed again and just die cut the whole lot all at once. So then you will actually build up usable die cuts sitting in your envelope here, or as I say, you can just separate them with little snippers. You can either use sort of heavy duty craft scissors or little snippers like this, the little ones you can get for like jewelry making and things, and they snip through these tabs really easy. So if I just show you here, let me just pull that up, keep that black backing in between, so you can see that, and you can see all these tiny little tabs here. So either with little snippers like this, you can just snip between the tabs, say really easy like so. As I say, you can get some heavy duty scissors as well, something like this for example, and they do actually snip through there as well, like so. Oh, I did snip through. There we go. So that snips through there as well. You can use possibly like normal scissors as well, but I wouldn't use the scissors that you'd be cutting your paper with because you don't want to ruin them. They do actually, let me just show you on this one, there is one more tab left on this J. You can, if you don't have anything in particular, you can actually just flex it backwards and forwards, and that tab will also break. So yeah, there's a couple of different options for you to actually separate those. But we have the tall and skinny alphabet, which I think is you're going to love, and you would have seen the design team samples using these, and particularly Tina has used these to their absolute best, and I know that she really loves them. But you can see here, this is a 6-inch tall. No, it's not. It's a 5-inch tall card and it's 6 inches wide, and I've used the letters there, and you can see how much of an impact they make, but without being too overpowering on the card. Okay, and I've cut them from the holographic card, the rainbow holographic. So that is a really lovely set and absolutely perfect. And if you just had these 3 together, you'd make some really stunning, really ultra modern cards as well. I think they're just so suited. Right, I've thrown all sorts at this card actually today, which is very unlike me. But in the background here, you can see I do have a little bit of embossing, and I've used the Meadow of Sweet Peas embossing folder. Now, you would have seen this launched on Hobby Maker yesterday, wasn't it? Monday, yeah. Now, this does come with a set of layering stencils as well. I haven't used those today. That'll be a project for another day, but I did want some sort of embossing in the background, and this was just perfect, and it's new, so the whole thing goes together. So I've used that in the background, and I've also used the a Splash of Colour premium cardstock. Now, this launched a little while ago on Lisa's website, but you would have also seen this on Hobby Maker yesterday as well. So I've got no ink in actually today. I've used no ink whatsoever in this card. It's all die cuts and embossing, and a little bit of cutting of your cardstock, matting and layering as well. Now, actually, the sentiment that I've put here is bold phrases. Now, I didn't have time actually to check if this is in stock as well, but it can be your choice of sentiment on the front there. And I may well actually even stamp something if I get to that stage and I remember. I may well stamp and create slightly different sentiment on there, just to have something a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to take that off, put your chat back on again there. Oh yes, we've got loads of people. Lovely to have you all here. What's that? Is that Divi Caroli? Sorry if I've said that wrong. You have a coffee in hand. That sounds good. Oh, hello, Tina. How are you? Lovely to have you here. And Evelyn. Rennie McIntosh Designs. Is that the scribbled flowers? Yes, there's so many different ways to use them as well. So many different ways. I mean, I'm just showing you a really simple way today because I'm teaming it with other things, but there's been a stream of design team samples into the Facebook group, and they've been used in all sorts of different ways as well. Hi, Sandy Atkinson from Jersey. Hello, lovely to have you here. It's your first time. I didn't think I recognised the name. Okay, so this is the card I'm making for you today. So it's quite a dimensional card, but really, really straightforward. So I'm going to launch straight into that now. So I'm starting off with a sheet of white cardstock. You can actually start off with a 6x6 card blank, and I think once I've gone through how this is made, you'll be able to make this at any size that suits you, actually, I think. And that's what I do try to do with all of the cards that I make. I will give you the dimensions that I'm using as I go along, but this is very much scalable to the cardstock that you have available to you. And I think that's important as well, because not everybody always has the same cardstock available as I have. And there are times when I run out of card blanks as well, to be honest, and then I sort of have to just sort of rethink and rejig. So I'm starting off with, as I say, this could be a 6x6 card blank. This I'm starting off with, though, is like 12 inches by 6 inches. Now I'm going to work in centimetres. I don't know why, but that's just the way that I worked that this morning, to be honest. So I've got 30 centimetres and 15 centimetres down. But basically what we want to do is score our piece in half. So that's directly in the middle. So that for me is at 15 centimetres or 6 inches. So we then have our card blank. Okay, a normal standard card blank. To create this fold at the front, we just need to score the front of our card blank in half. Now, again, if you're working on different dimensions, you'll know what measurements you need to use. I'm going in at 7.5 centimetres, but basically you want the front of your card blank scored vertically in half. And I think that's like the most of the dimensions that you really need to know. So that's what makes this sort of scalable to the cardstock that you have available. So we can then take our card blank. So we have our normal card blank, like so, folded without spined down to the left, and we just fold back our card front. So we basically have the shape of our card sitting there as we do, like so. Okay, so that's really quite straightforward. Now what I want to do to create this strap, I mean, I'm calling this a strap card. I really don't know. I'm not very good on shaped cards. So we have this band that goes across that attaches the two sides of the cards together, and it gives us the platform or the ability to add extra dimension to that. So to create this strap here, we basically take it from the top of the card. Okay, now if you want to keep a square card, you can cut this part separately, but to keep all the dimensions exact, and so you get the right fold to go onto this strap here that just works with your card. The easiest way I found to do this was to take this 6x6 card and cut a strip off the top, an inch. Let me see, it was an inch, wasn't it? I'm forgetting my measurements now. Yes, it was. So what we need to do now really is to take our trimmer, and I'm just taking off an inch from the top of that. So we're now making our card blank sit 5 inches tall. Okay, so now we don't have a square card anymore. Our card still sits at 6 inches wide, but it's now 5 inches tall because we've taken our strap off the top there. Okay, now it's important that you keep this part. So fold that place over and fold that over, because basically we have the strap which is sitting in exactly the same way as the card. Now to make this fit the way that I've put this here, you take this strap and you basically turn it over. Okay, and now that will sit on the front of the card, and those folds match exactly your card blank. So if I just hold that in place, you now have that strap that's sitting there, and when that's closed together, you know that that is in exactly the same size as the card, and that will fit into your envelope. Okay, so it's important you keep this, and you can make this part now as wide or as slim as you like. Now that you know that this comes from the top of the card blank here, and it doesn't have to work for a square card blank. If you think you might be wanting to use a 5x7 card or a rectangle shaped card, you can create this in exactly the same way. Take your card blank, do the folds, cut your strip from the top, and just flip that over. So we have the long band now which sits on the front and can double back onto that part, and we have that section there. So that is, to me, the simplest way without going into too many measurements for you. And you know that whichever card dimension that you use, that will actually work for you. And that is I think that's a really nice tip to have. So I don't make many fancy card shapes really, but if I do, I like them to be simple so I can remember them and go back to them in the future. Because for me personally, if they're too tricky, I wouldn't use them again. And sometimes it's nice to do something a little bit different, isn't it? Right, so now we have our pieces to construct the card. I'm going to sit that like that because I know where that's going to go. Now we can start decorating the card. So I'm using the Splash of Colour cardstock here. Oh, hi, Hope. Hello. Oh, you're from New Jersey as well. Who else? Who did we have from New Jersey up the top there? That was somebody else, wasn't it? Sandy from New Jersey as well. Oh, lovely. Okay, so to decorate now, I'm going to be using the Splash of Colour because the colours on here are just perfect for the flowers. But of course, you can use any cardstock. There, you can see the reflection on there, can't you? Let me put that there with a little bit underneath so I'm not glaring you or blinding you with the lights. I'm just going to move my cardstock. Right, let's get myself organised. I don't want to blind you with my lights, so I'm going to leave that there. Okay. So what I've done here in the background, I've treated the back of the card and the front panel of the card exactly the same. So first of all, I want to take my one sheet of cardstock. Now this Splash of Colour comes in A5. Now I'm trying to find the most economical way of using this cardstock, so I'm not having to cut into it too much, because that's the way I like to use my paper. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to line the back of the card. Although the width isn't exactly the same as the card blank, I quite like that stripe down the side, and it's something just that little bit different. So all I've done, I've just taken my piece of design paper, I've married that up to the back of the card. I want it to line up exactly along the top, and I'm just going to mark at the bottom where the bottom of the card sits. That's as technical as I get. And then I can marry those two pencil marks up and just trim that down. Like so. So now I have a piece that fits on the back of my card blank, and I know that matches exactly. And I will do exactly the same for this front panel. I'm going to leave the white stripe down the side, so that mirrors what I have here, and I'm going to just mark that with a pencil mark. And then I'm just going to be aware that I want to keep a white margin down the side here, so make another pencil mark just there. The reason I do it this way as opposed to using exact measurements is that sometimes the exact measurements, if they don't go quite right, or if the folds have gone a little bit awry and you've measured everything exactly, it can just throw things out a little bit. So I just like to work with what I have at the time, and you can see now that that matches exactly. So I'm able to create that layer there and that layer on the back. Yeah, because sometimes your trimmer doesn't always do what it needs to do, or sometimes if the paper slips or something a little bit, doesn't it? So I think if you go with that's the way that I like to work anyway. Everybody's different, and you will have your own method of doing that. So basically you want to create a matting layer on the back here. As I say, I've left it so I have just two white lines and the design papers flush with the card top and bottom. You might want to have a border all the way around, or you might want to die cut your layers. As I say, at this stage it really is your personal preference, and it's a really nice way for you to go ahead and personalize this card. So I'll just show you sort of how the card is constructed. And I'm just going to just rub away those little pencil marks. Okay, so we have our pretty design paper there. Now the way I want to do this, I want to now layer a piece of white cardstock over the front. So again, it's exactly the same method I've just shown you. I've created a border all the way around this time. This is Lisa's white super smooth cardstock. And I'm going to die cut apertures into this. So let me just move that. So you'll be able to see here that I've actually die cut the apertures from the white card. So you can see that lovely coloured cardstock coming through. Now you could actually do this the other way around. You could have layered the white cardstock underneath and die cut into the coloured paper as well, which would be a lovely way to do it, and then the apertures will be showing the white through from underneath. That would be a really nice way to do it. I'm doing it this way around for you. So what I want to do now, I want to take my Wildflower dies. Now this is quite an unusual way of doing this. And I want to die cut apertures into this. Now, normally we would take our cardstock and we would die cut, and we would have our die cuts like this, wouldn't we? Now, this was from the card that I made before. And then we would apply these to the cardstock. And if I just laid out those on the coloured background there, you can see that how this card would look if I was to do it the other way around. Now imagine those were white apertures. That would look really stunning. Now I think the beauty of the wildflowers like this is that they can create silhouette effects. So even if you cut them out in black and put them on something, they look really, they'll look really stunning. But what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to arrange my dies in such a way that we're going to create our apertures. So I might do it a little bit different to the way that I've done it before, and perhaps use different dies as well. I think I might do that one on the front there. Let's have a see. So I can arrange those like that, and that one there with that, I think. So you can take these into place or not, that's entirely up to you. But then you take these to your die cutting machine and we just die cut those out. So I shall be back with you in just a second. I won't bring my machine onto camera. Okay, so I'm back again. I just had to use my larger machine because it's got the better plate that doesn't mark my cardstock. I just need to swap my plates out for my little one. Okay, so we'll take the dies away. So we have our die cuts that we can obviously keep and use on other projects, and we'll be able to use these either as white silhouettes, or we can colour tint them with inks or sprays. Or even alcohol markers would be a really nice way to use that. But you can see now that we have our apertures there, and we can see that lovely cardstock coming through. So I need to do exactly the same with this one here, and I may be able to use my smaller die cutting machine actually, so I don't have to disappear too far. Look at that, how perfect does that fit on there? I really like little dies like this because it does mean that I can use my desktop, my tiny little die cutting machine here, And I find that I do far more die cutting if my little dies can fit through these little ones here. So I should do that, and I will just bring that one back through this way round. Okay, and put that back so we can take away our dies. So we have our die cuts. So it's a really nice way just to build up your stash of die cuts there. And actually, what I'll do, I have one of the dies that's stuck in here. I think it's important to show you actually, and I know that Helen's watching, and I know she's new to die cutting as well. So maybe it's something that she's sort of come across. When you get your dies, you'll see sometimes the actual die cut gets stuck in there. But if you actually look on the reverse of the die, there's lots of little holes, and these are the release holes that enable to use a pokey tool that you can just pop that through, and it gives you that chance just to release that die from the back. Hopefully you can see that. So you can see all the little release holes, and this is really useful for things that are really delicate, particularly actually when you come to use that the alphabet a little bit later on. It just gives you that chance just to release your paper from in there, especially when you're using a delicate like a vellum or something. It's really easy to release the cardstock from there. So as long as you've got a nice little fine pokey tool, you can always release your cardstock from your dies. So now we have a nice set of dies that we can use. I can add those to the ones that I cut earlier on, and I mean, even already, if you just add them like this, and you've got a nice little posy of flowers that you can add to something. So I can leave those sitting there, and we have our apertures. Now, before I stick those down, I actually want to just take away the plainness from the back of this. Now, another way you could do this, you could use texture cardstock, which would be really lovely. A nice linen effect would work really well. You can ink the background here. You could use explosion powders as well to create different patterns and things on there. Now, I've opted to emboss. So I'm going to use the Meadow of Sweet Peas, which is so beautiful actually with what's going on, and I can't wait to use this with its stencil and actually you know, create some projects like this. But I'm just using it purely just for the embossing folder as is at the moment. And again, it's important just to say that just because we have stencils, oh, that's blinding you again, isn't it? Just because we have stencils this, we don't always have to stencil the image. You know, these are amazing embossing folders in their own right if we were to use them on white cardstock, as I'm doing today, or even on just coloured cardstock. So I want to emboss this now. Say the Meadow of Flowers, I thought it was just a perfect theme just to carry on, but you can use any of your embossing folders that would fit with a theme, or perhaps use the wood. We have a sandstone wall texture one, which would work really nicely, that we have here. We have basket woven ones, which would work really nice. And because the cardstock is smaller than the embossing folder, you can choose where you put this. Now I'm putting this higher up on the embossing folder, because if you look at the design here, you've got a bit more of the sky and it empties out. And I think just to keep it sort of nice and clean and just still get the feel of this meadow effect, I'm just lining up my cardstock just a little bit higher on the embossing folder. So bear with me, I'm just going to emboss that for you now. Okay, now this is really, really lovely. This works so well. When you put that against that coloured cardstock, you have the beauty of the embossing, but you also have those silhouettes to actually look at. So I'm going to do exactly the same with this one here. You can cherry pick actually, because you're using a smaller piece of cardstock. You can cherry pick exactly where in the embossing folder you want this to emboss. Okay, so we have our two pieces there. Now we don't need to colour that or even colour tint the embossing, I don't think. But if you agree, that just adds just that little bit of extra something that's just really sort of really elevated that, and it really does highlight the apertures there. And this is already looking very much different to this one, isn't it? Just using just a different sheet of cardstock from the splash of colour. So this is ready now to actually apply to the card. That's such a pretty colour, isn't it? Pretty colour. Now, when we add glue to this, I'm using the fine tip. What is important when you're creating an aperture like this and you want to stick it down, you really want to, the best that you can, put as much glue into all of these little details as you can, because that will stop them lifting and stop the card spoiling. And just catch them when it comes in and out of the envelope, for example. Then just add, it doesn't have to be lots of glue, but just make sure that the adhesive runs all the way around that detailed aperture. We don't usually worry too much, do we, when it's like a shaped aperture, like a circle or a rectangle. But when you're doing or making an aperture that is detailed as this, it is important that you make sure that you do stick down all of those little details, and that these fine nozzle glues actually are been invaluable. I didn't think I needed them, but I got them probably a couple of months ago, and I use them so much now. So I can add that to the front there, just add all, make sure that's all stuck down, and exactly the same on this one. I should go around and do that quickly. It's quite important to just be aware of all of those apertures like so. Now I will be coming back with a live on Wednesday as well. There's a card, I think it was Sue, wasn't it? Sue that's done, she's done a spotlight card with the new stencils, I think with the gardenia and the rose, and she'd made a shaker card out of them. So I will come back on Thursday and do that as a live for you as well. Now I can't remember which stencil it was that Sue used, but I will use perhaps another one that was released at the same time, just so as you can see something different being stenciled as well. So I'm actually quite looking forward to that one. I haven't made a shaker card in ages, but I will put like an invite up for that as well. So, and I will show Sue's card. I'm pretty sure it's Sue. I will show Sue's card as well and say give her full credit. But it's quite nice just to show and demonstrate other people's cards as well sometimes. Okay, so we have our card sitting there like that, and I think even that in itself, if you were just to put a sentiment on that and away you go, I think that would work really nicely, wouldn't it? Okay, so what we need to do is think about the strap now that we have here. So we have this in white, of course, so we do need to decorate that up a little bit. Now I do need to use another piece of cardstock. Now, again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this to be the same width as the actual band here. So that is an inch. Yep, it's an inch wide. So I'm going to cut two strips. So the first strip will sit on the front of this strap like so, and again keeping the same theme, I'm just going to have the white stripes just down the bottom, sorry, on either side there, and then the second strip will fit on this section here. So I'm going to trim it in again. Now again, if you have created this band to be a different width, then obviously you can cut your design paper or even mat and layer to suit. I mean, so I think this really is a very much a customizable card for you. So we have our band there. So I'm going to put that on like so. So I don't need to do any cutting. And again, what I'm keeping in mind is using my design paper as wisely as I can, so I don't have too many little pieces or little strips like this sitting around, which I don't end up using, and then I get really upset that I have to throw them away. So if I can find ways to minimize that, then that's all the better. So we have that on there. Now this one I will have to cut a little bit, so all I'm going to do is just again take my piece of paper and just by eye just mark it at the places where I want to cut, and it does just mean that I don't blind you with too many or throw too many measurements and figures at you. So we have our two mat and layer pieces there that we can put onto our and I quite like it actually that you just only have the card showing down the side. I think it just adds a slightly different feel to it, doesn't it? Okay, so we have our strap there decorated. Hello. Oh, hi Mum. You out having lunch? Well, I don't know. Fancy that. Have a lovely time. I'm sure you will. I'm sure I'll hear all about it later on. Hopefully you've got nicer weather than we've got here. It's absolutely pouring here today, and the garden couldn't look more autumny if it tried. I mean, I can't see the can't see the grass for the leaves actually. So I'm in the best place, I think, inside crafting today for sure. Right, so we have our strap there, and you can see now just by adding that design paper, it really brings it alive. And I'm ready to add this to the front of the card. Excuse me. Now we don't need to worry about, because we've remember we took this from the top of the card and we turned that over, so we know that the folds correspond exactly to the folds that we have on the front of the card here, which is just perfect. So if we take our strap and we turn it over, we can see this section here, that is what we are going to glue to this front section. Now we don't want to put glue all the way along, obviously, so we'll do a little bit there, and then this section here is what's going to go onto the back of the card, so we can put another section of glue just there, and then we can just line that up onto the front of the card and just make sure that glue adheres. And that is as straightforward as that gets. So when you open that up, you have that strap sitting there. With the strips over, there are cute. There are actually, Laurie, you're right. I think we always end up with lots of strips, don't we? And I mean, I've got a few sitting here, and even just the colours that are shouting out at me already. I mean, we could do weaving or anything with them, couldn't they? Weave in some of the whites, you know. They are gorgeous colours. It's sometimes I have too many ideas for this little amount of time that I have actually to craft. So so that's our basic card going on. Now all that's left really is to carry on and do the sentiment and just decorate this now. So I have already die cut the alphabet, the tall and skinny alphabet. So I've die cut to U. Now the beauty actually, isn't it, of alphabets is that we can personalize, we can add names, we can put ages on. Actually, the best thing with this alphabet is that Lisa has included the numbers for us as well, and there's a lot of alphabets that you don't, which can be quite frustrating. So there we go. Sometimes I do wish I wasn't quite so clumsy. There we are. But it's so useful, and I think if you were to actually create a not a split card like this, but if you actually had a whole card front there, it would be very easy to even die cut and put on happy birthday on the front as well, because of the slim nature of it, this alphabet. I think I'm looking for my tweezers, there we are. It allows you to put a lot more text on the front of the card than we perhaps otherwise would with a bolder alphabet. So I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this. Sorry, I'm thinking and crafting and talking at the same time, so my mind wanders a little bit. There we are. So I'm going to add on the 2U like this, and because this is a very open card, the front and the back does actually relate to each other quite well. So I think it does mean that you can put the sentiment straight across like so. There we are. There we are. Yeah, I'm aware I'm stopping talking, so I'm thinking too much while I'm doing this. But I think Lisa says the same thing sometimes. Sometimes you go quiet, you forget to talk while you're crafting. There we are. So there we are. I've used the holographic card there, so that really packs the punch, but it's not too much, is it? I think that works out really, really nicely. And I think what I might do now, I'm just going to bring in my stamps, and I think I'll be able to stamp a sentiment along here this time instead of die cutting it. So the larger text I think is going to be too big, but if I can choose where is it? There's one that says happy birthday, or it's your birthday. Right, we have happy on there, and we have birthday on there. See, I really like this. I really like swapping and changing and mixing and matching fonts and text on the cards. So a mixture of die cut text and stamp text is just perfect for me. I really, really like that. I think it brings some interest to your card as well. And also you have the option with these stamps, you can make any message you want as well, can't you? I haven't put the details for these on here, but these are Lisa's mini sentiments. They come, I think we have 5 sets, possibly 6 sets, but I'm using the happy and the birthday. These texts are absolutely brilliant, but I think those stamps are definitely too big to fit on there at this stage. Well then, let me look. Yes, they are. So it's me playing at the moment now, and I've got to remember not to get too carried away. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stamp these directly onto this card, and what I'm going to do is just line those up and use a stamping block. You can use a stamping platform, of course, and possibly a sensible thing would have been to stamp this before you stuck all of this together, but Let me see. I've only got my VersaFine on hand at the moment because this has turned into a bit of a me thinking on my feet. This is how I craft. I change my mind as I go along, and I'm sure we all do the same, don't we? So I've got those two stamps lined up, and I know this is nice and flat underneath, so this will give me a lovely impression. So I can go there. So we've got happy birthday to you. There we are. That's stamped perfectly. That sits on the front there, and that doesn't the message just flow really nicely like that. Okay, so I did promise that I was going to use the 2 sets of dies for you. So I have these scribbled flowers. Now I've already die cut 2 sets. I'm just wondering if the colours perhaps just might not be quite right for me now. So I think what I might do, the colours, well, do you know what, the colours do work? I think I might keep the green because the colours work in the back there, don't they? So what I'll do, I'll show you what I've done. I've just chosen 2 of the flowers. So I've chosen this flower here and the tulip type flower there. So we have the 2 dies to match. So we have our solid die, which is this one here. It gives us just a nice solid effect. And then we have our outline die, which is this one here. You can't see that very well, can you? Let me get a solid piece of cardstock. There we are. Let's get the grey so we can see that. So you have your outline die, which if you wanted to, you could actually even do paper piecing with this, because all of these little sections that come out here, you could keep that and you can paper piece those back in if you were to die cut them with different colours. Now then you have your solid die, as you have here, and the idea is that you layer the 2 on top of each other. Now I'm layering green on green. I didn't plan that very well, but if you see the way that it's worked here, this one, I've actually got the green outline and I've layered that onto the purple card paper at the back. The second flower is this one here, the pink one, which is the rose, and again it works in exactly the same way. You have your 2 dies, you have your solid die, which is that one there, which again you can use in itself. You don't have to layer it up. And then we have the outline die again, which can go onto the top of that. And again, for some reason that's worked out green on green, but I actually quite like that. And if I just, I'll attach those together and I shall lift those up. But you can see this one here. There will be lots and lots of different formations that you can actually put these flowers together. And I think you could even just have a crafting session in itself, just die cutting these in lots of different colours and just mixing and matching and just creating the flowers and then putting them in the envelope there to store ready to use at a later date. Sometimes you don't always feel like creating a whole project, or perhaps you don't have time, but you want to sit and do something. And I think it's quite a nice way to actually craft. So all I'm doing is just using the fine tip again, is just adding the dots of glue, which I find for me works really well along those small details. And then tweezers, which are an absolute must because I'm not very delicate. And if I put that on there, you can actually see those 2 coming together. I think actually even the tone on tone works really nicely. So just give that a minute to take. Imagine if you were layering this on top of glitter cardstock as well. And I think also if you use Christmas colours, let me see. I'm sure if you use Christmas colours, you'll be able to use these dies at Christmas as well and create festive projects with them too. I think just by using perhaps reds and greens and some glitters, they'll definitely lend themselves to like Christmas bouquets. Maybe someone has a Christmas birthday and you don't want to send them something festive, but you want to do something, you know, with seasonal colours. That would be quite a nice idea, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's those flowers put together. Now there's lots of different ways. You could die cut many of these and you can create yourself a whole bouquet to attach on there. Or you can just have one or two. You could add them all the way around. And because this is all contained within the sort of the footprint of the card, you know that they'll all fit inside the envelope as well. So I'm going to attach these on the reverse of the strap, which means I put the glue on the front there. So I can put that behind, which leaves my sentiment clearly visible to read. But you can attach them on the front. You could die cut these flowers as the apertures in the background. And then use the Wildflower dies as well to create the posy on the front here as well. That would be another way of doing that. Like so, you could do that. Couldn't you? There's lots of different ways of doing that. That's and if you were to put this against a coloured cardstock here instead of the white, those white flowers on the strap would look really nice. You could do them all the way along there. So lots of different ideas, lots and lots of different ideas. Maybe that's something I can finish off and show you a little bit later on. So but basically that's how that card is constructed, and you can go to town and make it as clean and simple or as elaborate and floral as suits. And I really like, actually, you've got the two different colorways going on there. Oh, hi Deborah, how are you? So it'd be pretty with the outline from the pattern paper. Yes, it actually would, wouldn't it? If we were to swap the white layer and the pattern paper there as well, that would give it a whole different look as well. But say, I think it's a really nice, effective statement card without being too complicated, which I think is absolutely perfect. Now, what I did do here, this is the sentiment that I've used. I've actually, on this one, you could attach your sentiment on the front there like that also. Let's say lots of different ways, and say it'll be up to you to sort of personalize the way that you want, and it'll be fun to see if you do decide to make this, what ideas you come up with. And I'm sure many of them will be very, very striking as well. So I think I'll leave that with you there today, because I can see myself getting a bit sidetracked and going off at a tangent. So I will be back with you on Thursday. Now, it's quite a busy week for lives this week because I don't know if you know or if you've been. Oh, there we are. Hello, Lisa. We've got Lisa. Ah, that's good timing. I'm just about to tell everybody about your live tomorrow, or Lisa's live tomorrow. Where she's inviting us all round to her front room for a coffee or a tea and just a bit of a chat. So you can see there tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, broadcast from Lisa's home. So it'll be very informal. Prudence may even make an appearance. Who knows? So any new followers who haven't met her, you know, tomorrow might be the day. And I think this is going to be a regular Wednesday afternoon thing, so that we look forward to that. And say you'll catch up on all the gossip and lots of different things. There may even be a demo or two, who knows. So make sure to join Lisa tomorrow afternoon for that as well. I'll be back with you Thursday, and then there'll be Friday Night Live with Lisa on Friday night. So that's pretty much your week sorted, I'd say. So thanks a lot for joining me this afternoon. Take care, everybody, and I shall see you later on.